For the first reaction to this explosive India Today investigation, I want to go across to Dr. Kiran Bedi. She's been in charge of Tihar jail in the past, well-known police officer, and she understands the ins and outs of how this overmanned prison is actually run. You know, I look at this, Dr. Bedi, from an outsider's lens, and what I see shocks me. It turns out that there is a senior officer of the rank of a deputy superintendent. He calls up a peer of his and says, I will not be there the next morning, so you take charge. The other person thinks, okay, I can step in for one day, no big deal. And then there is this brazen murder in daylight caught on CCTV camera, and that second officer then shows up just 10 minutes after this murder has been executed and refuses to sign any papers. What in the world do you think is going on at a prison you once ran? Dr. Bedi, welcome.
Well, apparently this officer knew something which is going to happen. So he absented himself. I suspect that. Otherwise, why would he just on the eve of this absent himself? Which means he's in hand in glove with all the wrongs which are probably happening inside the prison. And the head office and the leadership does not know. So I think this is a very serious matter. It's a failure of an internal administration. You know what I believe, Rahul, is that look, these incidents will go on till we stop treating it only as a holding institution. We are, when we made the change, we moved it from being guards to guardians. That's the change we made. We were guards. Nobody takes away our responsibility of being true guards to stop escapes. Remember those Charles Sobra's time when we had the escapes? Soon after, there were no escapes as such then. What happened? We became guards. We are all on the top and everywhere. We didn't have the cameras. Now you even have cameras. So you have to be guards, but alongside you have to be guardians. Now you can't be guardians of crime. The problem is that guardians to heal. These are not holding institutions. Prisons are also healing institutions. And if you cannot take the heat of this healing, it will not heal. Because prison for us, at that time when we worked together and worked as a great team to heal it, we looked at it as a township of people who are stressed out, who are angry, who are revengeful, and they have all these mental disabilities of the kinds. So we started to look at, while protecting, while securing, while ensuring conspiracies are not there, we started to create the avenues of releasing the heat. That's where I think, I do not know, I'm not inside the prison, I do not know whether they do. But I think, Rahul, we need to have both this as a holding institution, as a healing institution. And in the healing, you might ask, what were we doing? We were having spiritual discourses. We were having the Brahma Kumaris, women coming in white saris.
No, but some of this, Dr. Bedi, is at a philosophical level. There are serious lapses in the manner in which the prison is being administered. We've now got a senior officer in Tihar prisons talking about how the emergency alarm was dysfunctional. Now, for something like this to happen inside India's #1 prison, that sounds shocking. And that CCTV monitoring is actually outsourced at night to a third-party vendor who may or may not actually be tracking it, because for them it's just a contract which they're executing. They couldn't care about whether something goes wrong, and even if it does, it's really, you know, water off their back.
I did not know that this CCTV watch has been outsourced to third. Even if it is outsourced and you need the technical management, we got companies which will, we got software expertise now, which will actually make a capsule for the DGP and the administration before before the close of the day. We have softwares which will audit the entire recording of the day. Are we not? Why don't we use those? Comsur is a company, I'm aware, and there are many others, who will use the audit. They will audit the computer, the recordings during the day and provide it available to the administration, the seniors. You will know what has happened during the day. Why are we not using these softwares? And why isn't the third company giving the audit reports to the DGP? Poor DGP will not be sitting in the camera, because after a few seconds the human eye gets tired. But the question is, today Tihar cannot have all this if it is well watched, well audited.
No, but this has been happening again and again. This is not the first instance of someone being killed. Before this, on the 14th of April, Prince Tewatia was killed in a gang war. Ankit Gujar on the 4th of August 2021. who was accused in 8 murders, found murdered inside a high-security ward in Tihar jail. There have been these high-profile murders repeatedly inside. There's something terribly wrong with the manner in which this prison is being administered. Who do you think does the responsibility end with? Who should take the flak and responsibility for it?
The computer watchers. If you've given it to the third party, they need to be sacked. They need to be heavily fined.
No, but they're outsourced third-party vendor.
Yeah, third-party vendor should be sacked. This is his job. Isn't his job to audit the day? And isn't his job to, isn't a part of the contract to audit the day's recordings? And
no, but what about all the officials of the Delhi police, the Tamil Nadu police, the CRPF, who are deputed inside Tihar jail, whose job it is to ensure? For example, one of the things we hear in that investigation is that the iron bar roof was cut open 2 or 3 days before this murder, and it's rather thin apparently. This is what separates the two roofs, and nobody paid attention. Like, it is cut and then nobody was obviously supervising that area to check what's happening.
I'm saying you have technology. You are on e-watch. You are on a camera watch. If that is done properly, you will know and you will come and intervene and stop it. The point is, why isn't that? I believe somebody had even covered the camera. Must be a gossip. That cameras had also been covered inside the barracks. How can they do this? And if a camera is covered, won't it be known from the control room? I think the third party is accountable. They should be sacked, heavily fined, and substitute to be found. And get companies which have auditing softwares. And the audit report must reach the seniors before the close of the day. So that you know what's happened. Barrack-wise, section-wise, prison-wise. You have the technology today. I cannot understand why it should fail us. So I think that's where it's wrong. The third party, whoever it is, should be asked to get out and hire a new one which has proper audit softwares, and that report is submitted to the then you make the administration accountable.
No, but Dr. Bedi, you know, you've been in charge of Tihar prison, but you seem to be outsourcing the blame to the outsourced party. I think the blame here lies with officials inside Tihar jail. For example, one person decides not to show up and shows up 10 minutes after the murder, refuses to sign the books. That to me sounds terribly crooked. I mean, that needs to be investigated. We had that comment from the Director General of Prison, so I'm not going to preempt the investigation, but that to me sounds dal mein kala. I mean, how does this guy know that he shouldn't come and shows up and then refuses to sign any papers? That needs to be investigated. There are matters like these, you know, where phones are being carried in, CCTV footage not being observed. That is the responsibility of officials inside prison. I mean, the third party is the easiest to get rid of.
Rahul, you need the watch and the footwalk. You need the watch from the top, and you also need a daily footwalk inside the prisons of all the seniors, from top to bottom. Top to bottom must walk the prisons on a daily basis. Top to bottom. I'm talking about the senior most to the, when the senior most walks the prison every day. That is a healing. That's watching. That's feedback systems. That's observation. That's sensing what's going on. And that's also inspections. That's also searching. So many things in one. We must have seniors, by surprise, walk one prison a day. Unless you walk the township. This is a township. And while the camera is watching you, you are... So it's a grassroots cleaning, it's a grassroots security, grassroots connect, and it's a top connect. Unless you combine the bottom with the top, in between what happens, then you are in trouble. But you cannot also give it only to the third party. Senior or some gazetted officers should also be turn by turn watching the cameras. So it should be third party, auditing, and the seniors available. But at the grassroots level, you must have seniors walking the prison on a daily basis. And by surprise, and that's inspection, it's interaction, it's watching, it's testing, it's in so many things in one. Unless you combine the top eye with the bottom walk, it's the camera with the walk, camera and the walk, and you walk the prison. You don't drive the prison. You walk through the prison. You walk the barracks. And then third thing is in between, what do these prisoners do between waking up till night? Have we got full yoga? We've got to have these heat release practices, the yoga, the spiritual discourses, the prayer, the music, some music, healing music. And of course, you also need some NGOs who come and do some talking with them on mental health issues.
Okay.
Unless you do these things together, you're not doing it as a healing institution.
You know what?
You are holding it, only holding it. Holding will always burst at times.